A scientist's near-death experience revealed a truth so profound, it challenges the very foundations of modern physics. Dr. Sarah Brennan, a staunch materialist and skeptic, found herself face-to-face with a reality that transcended the physical world as she flatlined on the operating table. Sarah's consciousness expanded beyond her body, revealing a universe more vast and interconnected than she ever imagined. The insights gained in those moments would lead her to develop a groundbreaking theory that could revolutionize our understanding of existence itself. Dr. Sarah Brennan stood as a paragon of scientific skepticism in the neuroscience community. Her sharp intellect and unwavering commitment to empirical evidence had earned her a reputation as a formidable debunker of pseudoscientific claims. In her world, there was no room for the supernatural or the unexplained. Only the measurable, the observable, and the replicable. To Sarah's office at the university was a testament to her dedication to scientific materialism. Walls lined with academic journals and cutting-edge neuroimaging equipment spoke to her relentless pursuit of understanding the brain through purely physical means. She often remarked to her colleagues that the human mind, in all its complexity, was nothing more than an intricate biological computer, its mysteries waiting to be unraveled through rigorous scientific inquiry. Her past research had made significant strides in debunking near-death experience claims. Through meticulous studies and brain imaging techniques, Sarah had demonstrated how oxygen deprivation and specific neural patterns could create vivid hallucinations that people often mistook for otherworldly encounters. Her work had garnered both acclaim and controversy, solidifying her position as a staunch defender of scientific rationalism. One afternoon, as Sarah prepared for an upcoming presentation, a colleague hesitantly approached her with a personal anecdote about a spiritual experience during meditation. With a mix of patience and barely concealed skepticism, Sarah listened before systematically dismantling each element of the story. She pointed out the well-documented effects of sensory deprivation on consciousness and the brain's tendency to create meaningful narratives out of random neural firing. "I understand the appeal of these experiences," Sarah explained, her tone gentle but firm. "But when we examine them closely, we always find a perfectly rational explanation rooted in neurobiology. There's no need to invoke the supernatural when the natural world offers such rich and fascinating answers." As she spoke, Sarah's eyes drifted to her calendar, noting an upcoming routine brain surgery scheduled for the following week. It was a procedure she had performed countless times, each operation further cementing her understanding of the brain as a complex but ultimately comprehensible organ. Little did Sarah know, her entire reality was about to be shaken to its core. The certainty that had been her constant companion throughout her career would soon face its greatest challenge. The upcoming surgery, seemingly routine, would set in motion a series of events that would force Sarah to question everything she thought she knew about consciousness, reality, and the very nature of existence itself. As she left her office that evening, Sarah felt a fleeting sense of unease, quickly dismissed as preoperative nerves. Her mind, ever analytical, refocused on the tasks ahead, secure in the knowledge that science held the answers to all of life's mysteries. The foundations of her worldview, built on years of research and skepticism, seemed unshakable. Yet, the universe had other plans for Dr. Sarah Brennan, plans that would test the limits of her rationality and open her mind to possibilities she had never before considered. What if our understanding of the brain is fundamentally flawed? As Dr. Brennan began what should have been a routine surgery, she encountered something that defied explanation. A phenomenon that would force her to question the very foundations of neuroscience. The operating room hummed with the familiar sounds of medical equipment as Dr. Sarah Brennan prepared to perform a delicate brain surgery. Her team moved with practiced efficiency, each member focused on their specific tasks. Sarah's mind was clear, her hands steady as she made the initial incision. This procedure was one she had performed countless times before, a testament to her skill and experience in the field of neurosurgery. As her scalpel touched the patient's brain, something extraordinary occurred. A sudden, inexplicable sensation washed over Sarah, as if her consciousness had expanded beyond the confines of her own mind. In that moment, she felt an unmistakable connection to her patient's awareness, a merging of thoughts and sensations that defied her understanding of neurobiology. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she struggled to process what was happening. The patient's memories and emotions seemed to flow through her, vivid and visceral. She saw flashes of childhood experiences, felt the weight of personal struggles, and sensed deep-seated fears and aspirations. It was as if she had become a silent observer within her patient's inner world, attempting to rationalize the experience. Sarah's analytical mind raced through possible explanations. Could this be a result of sleep deprivation or unusual stress response? Perhaps it was an elaborate hallucination triggered by some unknown factor in the operating room environment. Yet, the intensity and clarity of the connection felt far too real to dismiss so easily. As the surgery progressed, Sarah's unease grew. She maintained her outward composure, her hands moving with precision as she navigated the intricate landscape of the brain. But internally, she grappled with a profound sense of disorientation. The boundary between herself and her patient seemed to blur, challenging everything she thought she knew about consciousness and the nature of the mind. Recent research on consciousness during surgery flashed through Sarah's thoughts. She recalled studies exploring the potential for heightened awareness in anesthetized patients, but nothing in the literature came close to explaining what she was experiencing. This went beyond mere awareness. It was a profound interconnection that seemed to transcend physical limitations with each passing minute. The weight of the unexplained phenomenon pressed more heavily on Sarah's mind. She found herself hyper-aware of every movement, every decision she made during the procedure. The familiar routine of surgery now felt charged with an almost electric intensity, as if each action carried far greater significance than she had ever realized before. As the operation drew to a close, Sarah felt a mixture of relief and lingering apprehension. The surgery had been successful from a medical standpoint, but she knew that something fundamental had shifted within her. The experience had left her deeply unsettled, shaking the very foundations of her scientific worldview. In the immediate aftermath, Sarah attempted to dismiss the experience as a bizarre anomaly. She busied herself with post-operative procedures, filling out charts and giving instructions to her team. Yet, as she left the operating room, a nagging sense of unease followed her. Little did she know, this unexplainable event was just the beginning of a journey that would challenge everything she thought she knew about the nature of consciousness and reality itself. As Sarah stepped back into her familiar laboratory, something felt profoundly different. The microscopes and test tubes that once represented the bedrock of her reality now seemed like relics from another world. What unseen forces were pulling at the threads of her scientific certainty? In the days following the surgery, Dr. Brennan attempted to return to her normal routine. She immersed herself in data analysis, hoping to drown out the lingering unease that had taken root in her mind. Yet, as she pored over brain scans and neurological readings, Sarah found herself questioning the very foundations of her understanding. The first incident occurred during a routine experiment. As Sarah adjusted the settings on a complex neuroimaging device, the machine suddenly sparked to life without any input. The monitors flickered with patterns she had never seen before, displaying intricate neural pathways that seemed to defy known models of brain structure. Sarah blinked hard, convinced her eyes were playing tricks on her. When she looked again, the screens had returned to normal, leaving her to wonder if she had imagined the whole thing. As the days passed, more inexplicable events began to unfold. During a lecture, Sarah found herself speaking about consciousness in ways that went far beyond her prepared notes, touching on concepts she had never consciously explored. Her students sat in rapt attention, hanging on every word, while Sarah felt as if some other force was guiding her speech. Perhaps most unsettling were the dreams that began to plague her nights. Vivid visions of interconnected realities and vast cosmic landscapes filled her sleeping hours. Sarah would wake with a start, her mind reeling with information that seemed to challenge everything she thought she knew about the nature of existence. To Dr. Brennan's growing anxiety did not go unnoticed by her colleagues. They observed her distracted demeanor during meetings, her sudden bursts of insight followed by long periods of contemplative silence. Some attributed it to stress from her recent surgery, while others whispered about the possibility of a brilliant mind unraveling. Sarah found herself caught between two worlds. Her rational mind struggled to explain away these experiences, grasping for logical explanations. Perhaps it was a side effect of the anesthesia from her surgery, or maybe she was suffering from some undiagnosed neurological condition. Yet a part of her, a part that grew stronger with each passing day, sensed that something profound had shifted in her perception of reality, that as the frequency of these unexplained phenomena increased, Sarah realized she could no longer ignore the mounting evidence that something extraordinary was occurring. With great reluctance, she made the decision to investigate her experiences further. It was a choice that went against every scientific instinct she had cultivated over years of rigorous study and skepticism. Her search for answers would lead her down an unexpected path, one that would challenge the very foundations of her scientific worldview and open her mind to possibilities she had never before considered. As Dr. Sarah Brennan embarked on this journey of discovery, she could not have anticipated the profound revelations that awaited her, nor the impact they would have on her understanding of consciousness, reality, and the nature of existence itself. Dr. Sarah Brennan's hands trembled as she reached for the research papers, her mind racing with possibilities she never dared consider before. What discoveries awaited in the realm where science meets the inexplicable, and how would they transform her understanding of consciousness itself? With a deep breath, Sarah began her reluctant foray into the world of near-death experiences and consciousness studies. She pored over accounts from respected researchers like Dr. Bruce Grayson and Dr. Pim van Lommel, whose rigorous studies challenged conventional explanations for these phenomena. The sheer volume of consistent reports from individuals who had clinically died and returned to tell their tales was staggering. As she delved deeper, Sarah encountered compelling evidence that defied her materialist worldview. She read about verified out-of-body experiences where patients accurately described events occurring while they were unconscious. Studies on shared death experiences and terminal lucidity in dementia patients further challenged her understanding of consciousness. Sarah's internal conflict grew with each new piece of information. Her scientific training urged caution and skepticism, yet the mounting evidence was becoming difficult to ignore. She found herself questioning long-held beliefs about the nature of reality and the limits of human perception. One evening, as Sarah reviewed a particularly intriguing case study, she caught herself entertaining thoughts that would have been unthinkable just weeks ago. Could consciousness truly exist independently of the brain? Was there more to reality than what could be measured by scientific instruments? These questions both thrilled and terrified her. Sarah realized that pursuing this line of inquiry could have profound implications for her career and reputation. She considered sharing her findings with trusted colleagues but hesitated, knowing the ridicule she might face. As dawn broke, Sarah made a decision. She would continue her investigation in secret, protecting her professional standing while exploring these uncharted territories of consciousness. Little did she know that fate had other plans for her journey of discovery. The universe, it seemed, was not content to let Dr. Brennan's exploration remain a mere academic exercise. As she closed her laptop and prepared for another day at the hospital, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she was standing on the precipice of something monumental. Little did she know, her own brush with mortality was just around the corner, ready to plunge her into the very experiences she had been studying from afar. In a cruel twist of irony, Dr. Brennan found herself on the operating table, facing her own mortality. The day had begun like any other, with Sarah immersed in her research, but a sudden, searing pain in her abdomen brought her world crashing down. Within hours, she was diagnosed with a life-threatening internal hemorrhage, requiring immediate surgery. As Sarah was wheeled into the operating room, the sterile environment she once found comforting now filled her with dread. The beeping of monitors and the hushed voices of her colleagues faded into the background as she grappled with the fear of the unknown. For the first time in her career, Sarah found herself on the other side of the surgical table. Vulnerable and uncertain, the anesthesiologist's calm voice counted down, and Sarah felt the familiar pull of unconsciousness. But as her eyes closed, something unprecedented occurred. Instead of the expected darkness, Sarah experienced a sensation of expanding awareness. It was as if her consciousness was gently separating from her physical form, rising above the operating table, in those crucial moments. As her body teetered on the brink of clinical death, Sarah's perception shifted dramatically. The operating room faded from view, replaced by a vast, shimmering expanse of light and color. She felt an overwhelming sense of peace and connectedness. Unlike anything she had ever experienced in her waking life, time seemed to lose all meaning as Sarah's consciousness explored this new realm. She perceived intricate patterns of energy flowing through everything, connecting all of existence in a complex, beautiful dance. The boundaries between self and other dissolved, and Sarah felt herself merging with a greater, all-encompassing awareness. In this state of expanded consciousness, Sarah encountered profound insights about the nature of reality. She glimpsed the underlying fabric of the universe, a tapestry woven from pure consciousness. The materialist worldview she had clung to for so long crumbled in the face of this direct experience of a reality far more vast and interconnected than she had ever imagined. Suddenly as it began, Sarah found herself abruptly pulled back into her physical body. The shock of re-entry was jarring, leaving her gasping for breath as her eyes flew open. The concerned faces of her surgical team swam into view, their voices muffled and distant as Sarah's mind reeled from what she had just experienced. In those moments between life and death, Dr. Sarah Brennan had encountered a truth that would change everything she thought she knew about reality. The implications of her experience were staggering, challenging the very foundations of her scientific understanding and opening up new avenues of inquiry she had never before considered possible. As Sarah was wheeled into recovery, her mind raced with questions and possibilities. How could she reconcile what she had experienced with her scientific training? What did this mean for our understanding of consciousness and the nature of existence itself? One thing was certain. Dr. Sarah Brennan's journey into the unknown had only just begun, and the cosmic revelation she had glimpsed would set her on a path that would forever alter the course of her life and work. The operating room dissolved into a realm of pure light and vibration. Dr. Sarah Brennan found herself suspended in a vast expanse that defied all scientific understanding. Her consciousness, freed from its physical tether, soared through dimensions she never knew existed. The familiar boundaries of time and space melted away, replaced by an all-encompassing awareness that left her breathless with wonder. As Sarah's perception expanded, she struggled to comprehend her new state of being. Her analytical mind grasped for explanations, but this experience transcended all known scientific paradigms. She was everywhere and nowhere, perceiving realities beyond the limits of her five senses. Intricate patterns of energy danced before her, revealing the hidden architecture of the universe. The multidimensional nature of her awareness was overwhelming. Sarah perceived countless layers of reality existing simultaneously, each one as valid and real as the physical world she had left behind. She glimpsed parallel universes branching off into infinite possibilities, their ethereal beauty leaving her awestruck. In this expanded state, she understood that what we perceive as solid matter was merely a dense form of vibrating energy. As Sarah's journey continued, she encountered a profound truth about the interconnectedness of all existence. She saw how every particle, every thought, every moment was intimately woven into the fabric of the cosmos. The illusion of separation dissolved, revealing a universe where everything was part of a greater whole. She felt the pulse of life coursing through galaxies and atoms alike, all connected in a grand cosmic dance. In this realm beyond physical reality, Sarah encountered a fundamental truth about the nature of existence itself. She realized that consciousness was not merely a byproduct of brain activity, but a primary force that permeated the entire universe. This revelation shook the foundations of her materialist worldview, challenging everything she thought she knew about the nature of reality. As her awareness expanded further, Sarah received a profound insight that would forever change her understanding of existence. She glimpsed the underlying field of consciousness from which all of reality emerges. This primordial awareness was the source of all creation, the canvas upon which the universe painted itself into being. Sarah realized that this fundamental consciousness was not separate from her own awareness. It was the very essence of who she truly was. The implications of this cosmic revelation were staggering. Sarah understood that consciousness did not arise from matter, but rather that matter arose from consciousness. This insight held the potential to revolutionize scientific understanding, bridging the gap between spirituality and empirical research. As Dr. Brennan's consciousness expanded, so did her understanding of the universe and her place within it, this timeless, boundless state. Sarah knew that she would never view reality the same way again. The veil between worlds had been lifted, revealing a cosmos more vast, more intricate, and more miraculous than she had ever imagined. As her journey through this transcendent realm continued, Dr. Sarah Brennan prepared to receive even deeper insights that would challenge the very foundations of human knowledge and understanding. In a moment of cosmic clarity, Dr. Brennan glimpsed the true nature of existence. Her consciousness, now unbound by physical limitations, merged with a vast universal field of awareness. The boundaries between self and other dissolved, revealing a reality far more expansive and interconnected than she had ever imagined. Sarah grappled with the sheer vastness of the knowledge being revealed to her. It was as if the universe itself was downloading its secrets directly into her consciousness. She perceived the intricate web of energy that connected all things, from the tiniest subatomic particles to the grandest cosmic structures. This web pulsed with a living intelligence, a fundamental awareness that permeated all of existence. As she delved deeper into this cosmic revelation, Sarah began to understand that consciousness itself was the fundamental fabric of reality. It wasn't simply a byproduct of complex neural activity, as she had long believed. Instead, consciousness was the primary force from which all matter and energy emerged. This realization shook the very foundations of her scientific understanding, challenging everything she thought she knew about the nature of reality. The illusion of individual separation began to crumble as Sarah experienced the profound unity of all things. She saw how the concept of a separate self was merely a construct, a useful fiction for navigating the physical world. In truth, all consciousness was interconnected, part of a greater whole that transcended time and space. The full implications of this knowledge dawned on her. Sarah felt a mixture of awe and trepidation. She realized that this understanding had the potential to revolutionize science, philosophy, and humanity's entire worldview. The materialist paradigm that had dominated scientific thought for centuries was suddenly revealed as a limited perspective, a single facet of a much grander reality. Sarah's mind raced with the possibilities. How would this new understanding of consciousness impact fields like quantum physics, neuroscience, and psychology? Could it lead to breakthroughs in healing, both physical and psychological? What might it mean for our understanding of life, death, and the nature of the soul? As these questions swirled through her awareness, Sarah began to understand the purpose behind her cosmic revelation. She had been granted this profound insight not just for her own growth, but to share with the world. She felt a deep sense of responsibility to bridge the gap between science and spirituality, to help usher in a new era of understanding that could transform human consciousness on a global scale. But as quickly as this realization came, so did a sobering thought. How could she possibly convey the magnitude and complexity of this experience to others? The limitations of language and current scientific paradigms seemed woefully inadequate to capture the truth she had witnessed. Sarah knew that translating this cosmic download into terms that could be understood and accepted by the scientific community would be the greatest challenge of her life. The line between life and death is not as clear as we once thought. Dr. Sarah Brennan's return from the brink would challenge everything she knew about consciousness, reality, and the very nature of existence. But could she convince others of what she had experienced? Or would her incredible journey be dismissed as mere hallucination? Sarah's eyes fluttered open, the harsh fluorescent lights of the hospital room assaulting her senses. The steady beep of monitors and the antiseptic smell brought her crashing back to the physical world. For a moment, she felt disoriented, caught between two realities: the boundless cosmic awareness she had just experienced and the confined space of her recovery room. As her vision cleared, she saw the concerned faces of her medical team. Their voices seemed distant, muffled, as if she were hearing them through water. Sarah tried to speak, to convey the profound insight she had gained, but found herself struggling to form coherent sentences. How could she possibly articulate the vastness of what she had witnessed? "Dr. Brennan, can you hear me? Do you know where you are?" The voice of her colleague, Dr. James Thompson, cut through the fog in her mind. Sarah nodded slowly, her scientific mind already beginning to analyze and categorize her experience. She knew the challenges that lay ahead. As a respected neuroscientist, she was acutely aware of how the medical community viewed near-death experiences. Hallucinations, they would say, a trick of a dying brain starved of oxygen, but Sarah knew this was different. The clarity, the depth of understanding she had gained, it felt more real than anything she had ever experienced in her waking life. As she tried to explain this to Dr. Thompson, she saw the skepticism creep into his eyes. It was a look she knew well. She had worn it herself countless times when listening to patients describe their own brushes with the afterlife. In the days that followed, Sarah immersed herself in research on near-death experiences. She pored over accounts from other scientists and medical professionals who had undergone similar transformative events. Dr. Eben Alexander, a neurosurgeon who had written extensively about his own near-death experience, became a source of inspiration and validation. Yet, the more Sarah delved into her research, the more she realized the monumental task that lay ahead. How could she reconcile her profound spiritual insights with the rigorous demands of scientific inquiry? The potential impact of her revelation on the scientific community was staggering. It could revolutionize our understanding of consciousness, challenge the very foundations of materialist philosophy, and bridge the gap between science and spirituality. As Sarah's strength returned, so did her determination. She knew that sharing her experience and the knowledge she had gained would be met with skepticism, ridicule, and potentially damage to her professional reputation. But the truth she had glimpsed was too important to keep hidden. With a deep breath, Sarah made a decision. She would dedicate herself to exploring and sharing her newfound understanding, no matter the personal cost. She would approach her revelation with the same rigor and skepticism she had applied to her scientific work, seeking to create a framework that could withstand the scrutiny of her peers. As Dr. Sarah Brennan prepared to leave the hospital, she knew that her journey from skeptic to visionary had only just begun. The path ahead would be challenging, filled with obstacles and doubts. But the memory of that cosmic revelation burned bright in her mind, driving her forward. The universe had entrusted her with a profound truth, and she was determined to honor that gift, no matter where it might lead her. What happens when a scientist's most profound discovery lies beyond the reach of scientific instruments? Dr. Sarah Brennan was about to find out. Her near-death experience had given her a glimpse of a reality that defied conventional understanding. Now, she faced a choice: risk her hard-earned reputation or bury a truth that could revolutionize our understanding of consciousness itself. As Sarah returned to work, the familiar halls of the research facility felt strangely alien. She struggled to maintain her professional demeanor, acutely aware of the profound shift in her worldview. The weight of her newfound knowledge pressed upon her, demanding to be shared. Yet, how could she explain the inexplicable to those who prided themselves on explaining everything? With cautious determination, Sarah decided to confide in Dr. James Thompson, a respected colleague known for his open-mindedness. As she recounted her experience, she watched his expression shift from curiosity to disbelief. "Sarah," he said gently, "you know as well as I do that near-death experiences can be explained by oxygen deprivation and neural misfiring. Are you sure you're not interpreting a hallucination as something more?" His words stung, but they weren't unexpected. Sarah had anticipated skepticism, but the reality of facing it from a trusted peer was disheartening. She pressed on, sharing the insight she had gained about consciousness as a fundamental force of the universe. As she spoke, she saw a flicker of interest in James's eyes, quickly replaced by concern. Word of Sarah's experience spread through the department like wildfire. Some colleagues approached her with genuine curiosity, eager to hear more about her journey beyond the veil of physical reality. Others kept their distance, exchanging worried glances when she passed by in the corridors. During a department meeting, Sarah found herself at the center of a heated debate. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a brilliant neuroscientist, challenged her assertions. What you're proposing goes against everything we know about brain function and consciousness, Elena argued. How can you expect us to accept this without empirical evidence? Sarah took a deep breath, remembering historical examples of paradigm shifts in science. She spoke of Galileo's struggle to convince his peers that the Earth revolved around the sun, and of Einstein's theories that seemed to defy common sense, yet revolutionize physics. Throughout history, Sarah said, scientific progress has often required us to question our most fundamental assumptions. As the days passed, Sarah became increasingly aware of the potential cost to her career. Whispers of stress-induced delusions and professional burnout reached her ears. She noticed funding opportunities mysteriously drying up and invitations to speak at conferences becoming scarce. One evening, as Sarah sat in her office contemplating her next move, she received an unexpected visit from Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, a quantum physicist from another department. "I heard about your experience," he said, his eyes alight with excitement. "Your insights align with some of the strangest implications of quantum mechanics. I believe you may be onto something profound." This glimmer of support reignited Sarah's determination. She realized that pursuing this line of inquiry could cost her everything she had worked for, but the potential to uncover fundamental truths about the nature of reality was too important to ignore. With renewed resolve, Sarah decided to fully commit to her research, regardless of the consequences. She began formulating experiments that could bridge the gap between her subjective experience and objective scientific measurement. The line between science and mysticism has always been carefully guarded. But what if that line isn't just blurry? What if it doesn't exist at all? Dr. Sarah Brennan's revolutionary theory was poised to shatter this long-held distinction, potentially redefining our understanding of consciousness and the very nature of reality itself. As Sarah sat at her desk, surrounded by stacks of research papers and scribbled notes, she felt the weight of her task. How could she translate the ineffable truths she had glimpsed during her near-death experience into the rigorous language of science? The challenge seemed insurmountable, yet she knew she had to try. Sarah began by exploring the cutting-edge research in quantum physics and consciousness studies. She pored over papers on quantum entanglement and non-locality, finding intriguing parallels with her own experiences of interconnectedness beyond the confines of space and time. The work of physicists like David Bohm and his concept of the implicate order resonated deeply with her newfound understanding of reality. As she delved deeper, Sarah encountered the fascinating field of biocentrism, pioneered by Dr. Robert Lanza. This theory proposed that consciousness creates the universe, not the other way around, a concept that aligned closely with Sarah's cosmic insights. She found herself drawing connections between biocentrism, quantum mechanics, and her own experiences, slowly weaving together a tapestry of ideas that challenged conventional scientific wisdom. The process was not without its struggles. Sarah often found herself grappling with concepts that seemed to defy logical explanation. How could she describe the sensation of merging with a universal consciousness using the language of neuroscience? How could she quantify the profound sense of oneness she had experienced in terms that would satisfy her peers? Despite these challenges, Sarah's theory began to take shape. She proposed a model of consciousness as a fundamental field underlying all of reality, similar to the quantum fields described in physics. This consciousness field, she suggested, gave rise to both matter and individual awareness through a process of localization and collapse. Much like the wave function in quantum mechanics. As Sarah wrote, she felt a growing sense of excitement. Her ideas were pushing the boundaries of scientific inquiry, promising a paradigm shift that could bridge the gap between science and spirituality. She incorporated elements from various disciplines: neuroscience, quantum physics, philosophy of mind, creating a truly interdisciplinary approach to understanding consciousness. After months of intense work, Sarah completed her paper. As she read through the final draft, she felt a mix of pride and trepidation. Her theory was bold, challenging long-held assumptions about the nature of reality and consciousness. It offered a new perspective on age-old questions about the relationship between mind and matter, self and universe. But as Sarah prepared to submit her work for peer review, a nagging doubt crept in. Would the scientific community be ready for such a radical new perspective? She knew her ideas would face intense scrutiny and skepticism. The road ahead would be challenging, but Sarah was determined to see it through. She had glimpsed a profound truth about the nature of reality, and she owed it to herself and to science to share that truth with the world. They say the most dangerous ideas are the ones that challenge everything we think we know. Dr. Sarah Brennan was about to find out just how true that could be. Her theory didn't just push the boundaries of science. It threatened to erase them entirely. As Sarah's groundbreaking paper hit the scientific journals, the reaction was swift and polarizing. The prestigious Journal of Consciousness Studies featured her work on its cover, sparking heated debates across academic circles. Within days, Sarah found herself at the center of a storm that was reshaping the landscape of modern physics and neuroscience. At the annual Consciousness and Brain Conference, Sarah stood before a packed auditorium, her heart racing as she presented her theory. She outlined her model of consciousness as a fundamental field underlying all of reality, drawing gasps and murmurs from the audience. As she spoke, Sarah could see the mix of fascination and skepticism on the faces before her. The Q&A session that followed was intense. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, once Sarah's harshest critic, now stood up with a thoughtful expression. "While I'm not entirely convinced, I must admit your theory offers intriguing explanations for some of the anomalies we've observed in quantum experiments," she conceded. This unexpected support from a respected colleague lent credibility to Sarah's work, opening doors for further exploration. However, not everyone was receptive. Professor Alan Dawkins, a renowned materialist philosopher, launched a scathing critique of Sarah's ideas. "This is nothing more than pseudoscience dressed up in quantum mysticism," he declared in a widely shared article. Dr. Brennan's experience, while no doubt profound for her personally, hardly constitutes scientific evidence. Despite the criticism, Sarah's work began to influence researchers across various disciplines. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, the quantum physicist who had first shown interest in her ideas, initiated a series of experiments designed to test some of the predictions of Sarah's theory. Meanwhile, a group of neuroscientists at Stanford University began incorporating Sarah's consciousness field model into their studies of altered states of awareness. As her ideas gained traction, Sarah found herself inundated with invitations to speak at conferences and universities around the world. Her inbox overflowed with messages from researchers eager to collaborate, as well as from individuals who claimed her work had validated their own spiritual experiences. The controversy surrounding Sarah's theory attracted attention beyond academic circles. Popular science magazines ran feature articles exploring the implications of her work, while online forums buzzed with debates about the nature of reality and consciousness. Sarah's name became associated with a new movement in science, one that sought to bridge the gap between objective observation and subjective experience. As the months passed, it became clear that Sarah's work had catalyzed a new field of scientific inquiry. Universities began offering courses in quantum consciousness studies, and research grants were allocated to projects exploring the intersection of physics, neuroscience, and subjective experience. Standing in her office, surrounded by stacks of papers and correspondence, Sarah felt a mix of exhilaration and trepidation. Her theory had taken on a life of its own, sparking a revolution in scientific thought. But as her ideas spread, Dr. Brennan realized her journey had only just begun. The real challenge lay ahead, guiding this new field of study towards rigorous, empirical research while remaining true to the profound insights that had started it all. The line between science and spirituality began to blur as Dr. Sarah Brennan's groundbreaking theory took root in the scientific community. Her work ushered in a new era of understanding, forever changing our view of consciousness and reality. At the heart of Sarah's theory lay the radical proposition that consciousness was not merely a byproduct of brain activity, but a fundamental field underlying all of existence. This consciousness field, Sarah proposed, gave rise to both matter and individual awareness through a process akin to quantum collapse. Her model offered elegant explanations for phenomena that had long puzzled scientists, from the observer effect in quantum mechanics to the hard problem of consciousness and philosophy of mind. As researchers delved deeper into Sarah's ideas, they found unexpected connections between disparate fields of study. Despite the growing acceptance of Sarah's theory, challenges remained in fully integrating her ideas into mainstream science. Traditional materialist thinkers continued to resist, arguing that her model lacked sufficient empirical evidence. Sarah and her colleagues worked tirelessly to design experiments that could provide measurable data to support their hypotheses. They explored cutting-edge technologies from advanced brain imaging techniques to quantum sensors, In their quest to bridge the gap between subjective experience and objective measurement, Sarah's paradigm gained traction. It began to have profound implications beyond the realm of pure science. Medical researchers started investigating how the consciousness field model could inform new approaches to healing. Studies on the placebo effect took on new significance, with some scientists proposing that belief and intention could directly influence physical reality through interactions with the underlying consciousness field. In the field of psychology, Sarah's theory sparked a revolution in understanding the nature of the self and human potential. Therapists began incorporating techniques designed to help individuals access deeper levels of consciousness, leading to breakthroughs in treating conditions ranging from anxiety to addiction. Meditation and mindfulness practices, once viewed with skepticism by many in the scientific community, became subjects of intense study. The potential for Sarah's new paradigm to transform society seemed limitless. As more people began to understand consciousness as a fundamental aspect of reality, rather than a mere epiphenomenon of brain activity, it sparked profound shifts in how individuals viewed themselves and their place in the universe. Environmental scientists explored how this interconnected model of consciousness might influence our relationship with the natural world, potentially leading to more sustainable practices. As Sarah reflected on her journey from skeptic to pioneer, she marveled at the twists and turns that had brought her to this point. The near-death experience that had once threatened to derail her career had instead opened up entirely new vistas of scientific inquiry. She felt a deep sense of purpose, knowing that her work was helping to bridge the long-standing divide between science and spirituality. Yet Sarah knew that this was only the beginning. As she prepared for a new phase of research, she felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The mysteries of consciousness and reality still held many secrets, waiting to be uncovered. What further revelations lay ahead, and how would they reshape our understanding of existence itself? As we reflect on Dr. Sarah Brennan's extraordinary journey, we're reminded of the transformative power of open-minded scientific inquiry. Her near-death experience and subsequent research have opened up new frontiers in our understanding of consciousness and reality. Yet, this is just the beginning of a much larger quest. The mysteries of existence continue to unfold before us, challenging our assumptions and inviting us to explore further. Sarah's work has shown that when we approach the unknown with curiosity and rigor, we can uncover profound truths that reshape our worldview. As viewers, we're encouraged to embrace our own curiosity and question long-held beliefs about the nature of reality. The universe holds secrets far beyond our current comprehension, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to look beyond the familiar. By challenging our assumptions and remaining open to new possibilities, we too can contribute to the ongoing evolution of human understanding.